Mute. Hello. Good evening, everybody. Sarate. Thank you so much for joining tonight. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Purpose Conversations, Volume 6. My name is Ria Michelle Petrie, your host. So excited to have you, particularly because I'm passionate about this topic, relationships, marriage, partnership, and even more passionate because you know this is a dream of mine. So let me welcome you to the show, and I just hope and pray that you guys enjoy what you've watched tonight. So the first thing that I want to go over, we have a new platform. So my encouragement to thee, to thine, to those, please comment in the chat because we live for the chat. We want to see the comments because we can't see your faces like we did on Zoom. So if this is your first time, I welcome you. And I also encourage you, if you have a question for our guests, our panelists, thank you so much to those who have already sent some in. But yeah, we want to hear it. We want to hear from you. We want to know what's on your mind, and we want to hear what's on our panelists' mind. So I will not delay, but I do want to go over the flow of the show. So we always have 3 good segments. We are introing now. Then we're going to introduce our couples. I'm going to have each of them introduce themselves. We're going to go straight into segment 1, which is the experience. So we get to dive into some of their personal experiences. Then we're going to go into the challenges. Anybody ready for that? Okay. Got to put your seatbelt on to talk about the challenge because there's always a challenge in life somewhere. And then lastly, the last segment is all about advice and tips. So throughout this stream broadcast, my hope is that you would engage with us. If you like something, let us know. If you don't, let us know. We can handle that too. And I'm going to now do this thing, the thizzle, and welcome my people in the building. Hey, guys. Hi. All right. So I know I'm not the only one that's excited. I will tell you because, you know, I have to preface everything. Everything I do has purpose. So I want to start off by saying why I selected each of you guys. 1, you guys are all very different. 2, you do not represent, you know, before I got married, I always thought, ooh, you know, marriage is about having a partner that's going to like all the same things. And, oh, we're going to both love music and we're both going to watch Ayanna Fix My Life and go to live concerts, all the things I like to do. And what I've discovered as a 3-year married woman, shout out to my husband. Hopefully the draft is over and you're watching. I love you, Andre. We just approached our 3rd year of marriage. And what I know to be true from my mentor, Oprah, is that things do not always happen and occur the way we think. And so you have to take into account your spouse's experience, their background, their upbringing, their thoughts, beliefs, everything about them. You can think you know beforehand, but you don't know until you're married. So tonight, I really want each of these amazing couples that I believe possess a great, unique aspect of partnership. I feel blessed to know each of them personally. So I think that also helps because there'll be a day that I do a show and I may not know my guests beforehand. But since I do, let this just be a conversation between friends. And that's what I want to convey. So let's get started with our introductions of all the couples. And we'll start at the top with Megan and Mo. So I want to also introduce, as I introduce the couples, I asked each couple to provide us with 3 words that describe their marriage. And so Megan and Mo's marriage is spontaneous, tireless, and ever-changing. So Megan and Mo, please introduce yourselves. And I want to know names. Clearly, you're Megan and Mo. Name, what you do, and then what interested you in joining this podcast tonight.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Hello. My name is Megan Stewart. This is my husband, Mo. I am a executive assistant at a real estate company. And what made me want to join specifically was because I wanted to keep it real. And I wanted to just have an open conversation and just really talk about what marriage is. Not what's perceived or not what's written in books, but like really day to day, like in stages too, like before, during, after kids. And so here we are.
Here we are. Yes. Okay, Mo.
So my name is Maurice Stewart, Mo Stewart. And I wanted to help you out and support and just give feedback on the day-to-day ins and outs of marriage. And I'm a property manager. I deal with a lot of real estate stuff. But yeah, I just want to help out and support and definitely give some feedback on the day-to-day and the ins and outs of marriage.
I love it. Well, you guys are already starting off because you hit the nail on the head. For those of you that just joined for the first time, this brand, Rhealism, real life, real love, real people, and real relationships, that's what we are. We're not here to pretend or to present something that's not true and authentic. So thank you for saying that. Let's go to Trey and Erica.
Hey, what's up, y'all? How you doing? I'm Trey. I'm a sound engineer. What interested me in doing this was just conveying marriage to the world. Like, no ideologies or anything, just married people being married and giving y'all the ins and outs.
Oh.
I'm Erica. I'm a CPA and business manager. And I think what interested me was like, I feel like there was no, like handbook on how to become one, like what that really looks like in a marriage. And so like, I know how partnership looks for me and Trey, but I was just interested in what some of the other couples had to say and what tips and tools work for them, in this process of becoming one and working as one. So.
Oh, and I love that. And you know what I forgot to mention about you guys, which I love when you think you know people and then you ask them a question and they kind of hit the same area. When I asked for your 3 words, you guys said friendship, faith, and acceptance. And knowing both of you for so many years, I would agree. I'm not in your marriage, clearly, but I've been pretty close. So I love that. Thank you. I'm so happy. And so our longest married couple in the house. Oh, yeah. I guess I should have asked you guys how long you've been married, huh? Should we go back and fill the viewers in? Or I could tell them. How about I tell them? Megan and Mo are approaching their 4th year anniversary in July. Am I right? Come on. Be a friend. All right. Trey and Erica are approaching their 7th year of marriage in June. Come on. All right. And Yo and Alicia, who I'm going to introduce, are celebrating their 10th year of marriage in September. I hope I'm. And their 3 words are resilient. Love that. Need that. Pass some on to me. Partnership and adventure/fun. So please, Yo and Alicia, thank you so much for coming tonight. Please introduce yourselves.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here and connect with everyone. I'm Alicia Harrison. I'm the Vice President of Operations for Money Script Wealth Management. I get to work alongside my amazing husband and life partner in our business. I wanted to get on here and just really pour into the people, meet new couples, and learn. I really want to learn and absorb, what, as Trey was saying, just the day-to-day and just understanding, or maybe it was Mo. But just learn and grow and absorb. And I love Rhea. I love your energy and just
I love you too.
To be around and be in your light. Happy to be here.
I love you too.
I love it. Harrison, also known as Yo for short. I am the CEO of Money Script Wealth Management, financial planner. And I'm so grateful that Alicia and I are partners, not just in marriage, but also in this business, because I could not do it without her. I mean that, because she was the one that said, why don't you just start your own business? And I was like, oh, okay. So here we are. And I'm here just to pour into all of you and learn from you. And yes, just have a good time. I can't wait.
I can't wait either. Well, guess what? The party's already begun. And I'm so glad. I'm glad that you gave your wife that shout out, because my husband is the one who told me to step out and do this. So shout out again. He is on here because he gave me the praise hands. Hallelujah, Andre. We're going to have you on here again one day. But I'm so excited to dive in. So let's dive into the first segment, which is experience. And so the question, I want to let the audience know, because so many of you, I was on here setting up with in our little green room, and I was just so crunk. I still use the word crunk because I actually got a lot of questions from you guys. So I want you to know that I've infused some of those questions within the performance, the show, with the intention, because I know some people might have to log off, and I just want you to know that when I ask you guys things and you contribute, this is our show together, okay? Like Wendy say, how you doing? I'm like, okay. So let's get into the first question, which is, what does partnership look like in your marriage? Okay, so that is a broad question. I realize that, but I think the way I want you guys to answer, and whoever wants to go first, it's like before you got married and you imagine what partnership, would look like. Because I'd imagine each of you got married because you wanted to. Hello. But did it look the same pre-marriage versus post? So in a snapshot, like, what does it look like in your marriage in the day-to-day? Since a few of you mentioned that day-to-day, does it look the same? Does it look strikingly different? Whoever wants to go first. And I do want to hear from each of you.
We'll go first.
You first. Okay. Go ahead.
I would say before we got married, I know for me, Mo picked up my slack. So I'm good at a lot of stuff, but just some stuff I just don't do or don't do well, or just wasn't with a great man to experience those things with that would even test, whatever strength I need to be. So, and then now he picks up my slack. I pick up his slack. I challenge him. He challenges me. I always tell Rhea it's different now because we have a calendar.
I never did calendars like that.
Yeah, we have a 3-year-old daughter, and I work 9 to 5:30. He has his own business, so it's like I need a calendar. I need us to put everything on there so that way we know what's going on, and it's a full circle type of environment. So that's what works for us. Anything else?
Did it look the same before and after? Touch on that a little.
I don't want to be real, but hell no, it was totally different. Totally different.
Yeah, I mean, we had so much free time. We were able to come and go as we pleased. There was no set schedule.
I had a different job.
Except for, for the work that she did, which, she traveled. But then that was great because I was able to join her on her trips from work. And it was a vacation for me sometimes, if it, turned into work, whatever. But it changed, Yeah, it did change, but it's still fun. It's still fun.
Well, that's good. I love that. I love how you look over for the confirmation. Like, that's good. I love it. Okay, so let's hear from Yo and Alicia. How about you guys? Did partnership look the same, in your mind beforehand, post marriage? What does it look like, especially since you guys are partners on multiple levels?
I definitely feel that it evolved over time, dating, being engaged, and then co-parenting. We had a blended family, having children of our own. But for me, I guess partnership has really just been similar to what Megan was saying, kind of like the push and pull, pushing each other, pulling each other when we're down, pushing each other when we need that extra motivation to go after what we want. And just really being a mirror and a reflection for one another so that we can help each other grow and see each other's lights, weakness, things like that. But I would say that it evolved, as we personally developed and built greater communication, greater understanding of our love languages. When we were young and dumb, just kind of fumbling through things, it wasn't that easy. And Yo actually made a comment about when Megan mentioned the calendar, because now, yes, our life is very much in a calendar. When we were first dating, I hated the calendar. It was like I had to get in where I could fit in, and it didn't make me feel like a priority. Where now it's really how we structure our life and how we make time for one another and all the things that we're trying to take on. So yeah, it definitely just has evolved over time.
She hated the calendar.
I live for a calendar. I love it. Well, one thing you just touched on, which is so good, because in our next segment, we are going to dive into the challenges. And you mentioned marriage as a mirror. And I know I have been walking that out. I think a lot of times when people say that, you don't realize like there's some days you look in the mirror and it doesn't look good. And there's some days you look in the mirror and you're like, oh, okay, I'm feeling. And that's exactly what marriage is. So if your partner's reflecting something that may not be good, we're going deep, but I'm not going to go there in this segment. But that is true. Like sometimes the issues that they reflect also reflect back in you in a different way. And you mentioned love languages, all of that. Love it. Okay, Trey and Erica, let me hear a little bit about your partnership and if it looked, I know a little history about you guys, but share with the people.
I think pre-marriage, even like pre-dating, we already, because we were such good friends, we already kind of worked as a team in a sense. And I think just the person that Trey was in my life, you know, he already kind of sort of took care of me, like kind of picked up the slack, as Megan was saying. And I don't know, just made me feel like protected and taken care of. And like, okay, we're kind of, I don't know, like in this together, even though we weren't really together. So I think those little things that I saw as we were friends kind of let me know, or it just was indicative of his character and what, you know, gave me the safety. Like as we decided to start dating and getting married and everything, I kind of had a clue of what type of partner he would be.
Yeah. For me, Erica was that ride or die, but like she said, we were best friends. So we still are, but that's built off that foundation. I think for us, what the transition that was tough though was romance. So coming out of friendship and trying to apply her expectations of romance and me and the identity of I got to provide, so I got to work 16 hours a day, 18 hours a day. So there's just that's already creating a miscommunication. So I think us, from what I've learned, as far as partnership goes, is definitely for her and I is selflessness, just
communication.
And communication.
Yeah.
Like her interests are my interests.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm glad, oh Lord, let me just keep it together for the sake of the people. Okay. You said so much, and I'm going to tell you why. One thing that you said, and I know that you guys are best friends, and I know that you guys are platonic, but you just spoke on the fact that once you got married, that in your mind, what happened was, I got to work, I got to provide. And I know because women, when we get married, and I will not generalize here on this show, but I know some women and even some men, you kind of fantasize or think, yes, like now it's all about the romance, all about, and that real life kicks. And there can be an imbalance and there can be discord or there can be friction, So I think it's great that you said that because another viewer had a question about roles, and that is going to segue right into it. That was, how were the roles in your marriage defined? So do you believe in specific roles like head of the household versus the partnership model? And I definitely want to know, because this is a popular one that I think people can really benefit from. Especially those who believe in head of household versus partnership, I guess to me would be partners. Be partners in this. So please, let's share. How is it defined?
So I just want to say that I'm a firm believer that I wear the pants in this household. However, she told me which ones to put on.
Let me take a sip.
Good answer.
Oh, in other words, water.
She may have also bought them too. There's a strong chance that she also bought them.
Good answer. Yeah.
Great answer.
That's a great answer.
Okay.
So I'm definitely believing in partnership, and being that we are business partners. I mean you guys, early on. It was a struggle. I mean, and being able to separate work and pleasure time and the calendar and scheduling all of that in. So we learned very quickly that we get to be partners in everything, in our decision making. And now there are some things where we kind of let one of us, like for us, when it comes to like grocery shopping, I'm not the guy. Just I'm going to come back with all the wrong stuff and
spend too much money.
Okay. All right, yo.
It doesn't go together. No, I got it. I got it.
But even just recently, when it came to an automobile, we had to buy a car. I mean, that was a partnership effort. I mean, it wasn't. Yes, it was a car that Alicia will be driving, so it'd be her car, but she wasn't making the decision on her own. I didn't make the decision on my own. It was something that, she looked, we went and looked together. I gave input. We decided collectively, what the budget would be, and we made a collective decision on it. But I could also rewind back to the car that I purchased. I just came home with a new car one day.
Oh.
And that led to some conversations. I see you just come
Heated
home.
ones, lukewarm ones. What kind of conversation?
Conversation. You just came home with a car, so that wasn't the best decision on my. And since then I've learned from that. I mean, that was 4 years ago. It's a 4-year-old decision now.
Okay.
But again, I just want to say that I think that we have learned that when we partner on decisions, or at least seek the other's input, we're less regretful about the outcome. We feel we have ownership in the outcomes as well. And we've learned where to give each other our space and boundaries. So, okay, you handle that, you can handle that. You don't need my input for that, but I'm still willing to give it if you're willing to receive it.
Okay, so I have to ask you a follow-up question, because that's just how I do. So you mentioned that you wear the pants, but Alicia, tells you which ones to wear, and she might even buy them. So as a man, and I'm only saying this because I'm in tune with my audience and I'm in tune with myself. So we know that being the head of the household means that I'm paraphrasing, so please don't shoot me in the comments. I'm getting to them, by the way. Is like I'm the head, meaning like not what I say goes necessarily, but how have you learned? Because you said that if she's the one telling you which ones to wear, that means there has to be an openness or receptiveness. Like let's say this is a decision that Yo wants to make. You mentioned you bought a car and came home with it. So can you share with us any ways, or maybe there's a special way that she approaches it so that you actually listen to, hey, Yo, you should wear these pants, and Yo wears those pants? Do you know what I mean? Is that question clear?
Yeah, yes. And I think it has a lot to do with us learning from the aftermath of those decisions that get made in the void.
Like the decision before the car, like I went to Vegas and blew X amount of money.
What?
You didn't tell me that you were, what?
Oh, never mind. Oh, yeah, that was hypothetical.
TMI. It's okay. This is real. See how I do? I get you to spill your beans. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was like 8 years prior. So yeah.
So it was the aftermath of that where and again, a lot of this goes back to blended family, having a child of our own. The reason why we said resilience, early in our marriage, we dealt with the death of her grandparents, the death of my parents. And so we had a lot of, obstacles to overcome, and in the blended family. And I did not have the best partner on the other side of that relationship. And so all of that mixed in, we had to, over time, learn, or I had to learn, I'll just put it on me. I had to learn that I couldn't operate in the void. I could say whatever I want about, I make the decisions, or I make all the money, or whatever. I could say those things if I want to, but I'd also find myself sleeping on the couch or not getting the other things that I want, because, for instance, Alicia, I love Alicia for this. She cooks 90% of the meals in the house. She counts on me cooking maybe one meal a week, and I sometimes find a way to escape out of that. Okay? But if I'm doing all the other things that are keeping her happy and fulfilled, those meals just keep showing up, and I'm very appreciative of that. So I need to make sure that, like, for instance, there's money in the joint checking account when she goes to go buy groceries, and I didn't go off and trick off some money in Vegas. But it was the aftermath. So I've learned over time that, I can wear whatever macho, ness that I want, or try to say I'm the head of the house. So I can be the one to sign the taxes first, or on the deed of the property first, whatever, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, if there's no food on the table for me to eat, I'm gonna starve. So so it kind of goes back to the old adage, the happy wife, happy life. But it goes beyond happiness. It's, secure wife, secure life. It's confident wife, confident life, and all other great adjectives that we like to use instead of the negative ones.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that. All right. I appreciate that, because that was I love it. We got to coin that one for the men out there who wear them pants. Trey, Erica, what about you guys? How are the roles? And I'm going to ask all of you, how are the roles defined in your marriage? And do you believe in specific roles? Because not everybody does.
I think it's funny when I hear the question like head of household versus partnership model. It sounds like the two things are like in opposition, like one or the other. And I think our experience has been like both of them can exist at the same time. Like I view Trey as the head of our household, as my, spiritual covering and protector and all that stuff. But it's not like, I don't know. I think sometimes in like modern day or whatever, words like head of household or submission are so cringy for women. But like I said, I don't think they're mutually exclusive. And so it's not like I'm just blindly following, like Johan said, it's like it's a conversation. We're partners, and I think the roles in our house aren't really set. It's like we take on the roles depending on what the needs of the household are at the time. So there was a time where I was working like 80, 90 hours a week, for busy season. And then shortly after that, I started studying for the CPA exam. And there were certain things that it wasn't realistic for me to do after that long day, And so having a partner in trade that's not too, like macho or whatever, to say, oh yeah, I'll do the grocery shopping, I'll do the meal prep, whatever you need. I'll rearrange my study blocks, around, I'll rearrange my studio time around when you study. Like that was everything to me, because I was like, oh dang, we really are in this together. Like, so I think the roles are ever changing and they're not defined. They're not set by like gender. Now there are some things I will say, like we can be as evolved and whatever, but there are certain things I'm just not doing that I like car stuff,
My wife ain't charging my car.
I'm not. Yeah, and I
ain't built like that. I ain't letting my wife change no tire.
And it doesn't mean I'm like any less capable or I'm like the subservient, partner or whatever. It's just like, who wants to do that? So when you have
yeah, I don't think you can be head of household without a partner. That person makes you the head of the household. You know what I'm saying? So if I view my wife as a gift from God, right? And when you get a gift, you're now in charge of that, right? Or someone gives you something, you're receiving that. So now it's in your care. So if I'm head of the household and I'm saying I'm in care of this woman, then it is my responsibility, my duty to do things. However, I need to communicate to her to understand what it is to care for. I gotta have the partner to be the head of the household. I can't say I'm head of the house. Yeah, anybody can be head of the household single. Everything fall on you. You by yourself be head of the household.
Right,
But,
party of one.
So I don't think I understand the question, but they both go hand in hand. They can't exist without the other.
Yeah,
I think one more thing I would add is just for us with decision making. It's like we pray about everything and we talk about everything. So there's never a like, okay, I am the covering and thus saith me, and this is how we're going. It's just for us, that's not necessarily how we roll.
You need the right information to lead.
Yeah. And we recognize that we each have different skill sets. And so if he's not coming to me to, as the like finance person of our marriage, when he's facing certain decisions or deciding whether or not to tour, or does this business deal make sense, for him to just charge ahead and not have a conversation with me about it isn't really the wisest thing, because I might have something that, a perspective to share that he might not have thought of, because finance is not his jam,
Oh, that's a viewer question. So we're going to get to that. I want to let Mo and Megan touch on that before we switch.
Tell us about 30-second huddle, really.
No, I mean, for us, I think the whole gender thing, that's like, old school. Maybe our grandparents, our great grandparents, even. That stuff has been gone. It still applies, I think, in certain parts of the country or certain demographics. But in the world we live in, especially in LA, for example, it's just not, it doesn't make sense.
And also, Mo does the grocery shopping.
I do it for like.
Come on, Mo. I know you love it.
It's therapeutic for me.
I don't like it.
Walking up and down the aisle, zoning out. you know,
That's
figuring
that's
out
his happy place.
where, you know,
I used to cook a lot before we got married. When I had time, when I was working, I was a manager for an automotive company.
Mm-hmm.
I used to work for a week and be off for 2 weeks. I had time. Now I work 9 to 5:30. I'm in traffic now because everybody's back in the office.
Yeah.
So my husband cooks more, and it's, you know, and it's lovely.
But I've always liked to cook.
Yeah.
I just loved cooking. I love being creative. That's just what I do. It's just part of my therapy.
But I would say we're a partnership, but I also consider Mo the head of the household, but we're a partnership. So it's like Mo's not bringing in all the bread. You know, we both work. You know, it's like my job provides stuff that his job doesn't provide. And we both collectively, you know, contribute towards our daughter's education. And we both, you know, when it comes to buying a car, we both know about cars. So we will both talk about it, but we definitely talk about it because just like Yo says, we've learned from our past experiences.
Yeah.
So it's just best to just be upfront. Let me know what's going on. Let's talk about it. And that way there's no hiccups. My feelings aren't hurt. You don't get, you know, I don't have to talk to you reckless and then say, I'm sorry. Let's just do it right the first time and be a partnership.
Yeah.
Now that's keeping it real. So I'm gonna go to these comments real quick, and then I want to read a statement from a viewer because I think it's spot on, and I just want to know what whoever feels led to answer. So I saw a lot of pumping you guys up. Black love. Thank you guys for the compliments. Her interests are my interests. We had a question about that. Transition to friends to lover is no joke. Thanks for keeping it real, Hills. Come on, Trey. Chill, Trey. Love it. Yo and Alicia. Yo, Hans. That's right there. She told you which ones to put on. Partnership is everything. Andre, you're not coming home with 2 cars. Skip. How can the double standard be avoided? Andre, thank you, T-Perk. Don't lose your pants. So is Johan saying food is his love language? Oh man, I love all of these comments. You guys are so funny. Let me see if I'm missing it. Okay, Trey is out here redefining the modern man. Yes, now we can get him to smile during the conversation.
It worked. He's smiling. It worked.
Smile, being thoughtful is Erica's love language. Good stuff. Mo say, babe, leave Mo alone. Say something. Mo just spoke that truth. Go grocery shopping for a sister in these streets. Bless you, Mo. Okay. Oh, Andre says he'll wash your car for free. Okay, so I want to read this statement. Oh, wait, here's a question. What does head of household mean? I think we need them to define that first because I'm not clear. What does head of household really mean? Now, I heard, I'll just reflect real quick. I heard you guys say like head of household meant that you are I don't even like to say head figure. Let me let you guys say, what does head of household really quickly mean?
Can we let Erica give us the tax definition of head of household first?
100%. Erica, what is it?
No.
Extraordinary.
We will not be discussing tax law. I'm on a break. Baby, you want to take that?
What does it mean to you as the head, since you guys all spoke on that, except for Mo and May?
Head of household, to me, is simply a spiritual covering. It doesn't involve financial. It's the things that encompass what God desires from me as a husband to be to my wife.
Okay.
Now, that's to me. I know the world may say, "Oh, finances. Who making the most money, or who making what, emotionally or physically." To head of the household to me is
spiritual.
Spiritual.
Yeah, I think of protection, but I also think of I don't know, like just in our experience, it's like Trey, the way he leads, his disposition and everything kind of sets the tone in our home. And so, and I guess that ties into just spiritual stuff as well. But just the way he loves me and everything, it just kind of like sets us in a certain direction. I don't know, in a way that like I'm able to influence him, but it's just different, the charge that he has. So.
Oh, I love that. All right. What about the rest of you guys? What does head of household mean to you?
You know, I guess it's just my way of honoring my husband and giving him that nice title, even though we do have a partnership, if that makes sense. It's maybe it's an old school, maybe it's that little piece of old school that I still value. You know, it's like your grandparents, and maybe it's just that tad bit that I like. And it's like, well, this is my husband. He is the head of household, but we both work. We both make decisions together. So I guess it's just a personal, just giving him a crown, just putting it on, just saying, this is just thank you. Even though we both handle things together and we both work. What do you think?
I agree.
Hey, it's just an acknowledgement and an honor and a respect.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, awesome. Yo, Alicia, what does head of household mean for you?
Yeah, so I have to say I agree with Megan 100% on that. It's just really, I honor and love and respect my husband. He's the king of our house, but I'm also the queen of the house. So it's just really we're a partnership, and I get to sit on that throne with him. But he's my king, and I love and value that and respect that.
Yeah, I think of it of more of you probably heard the phrase "the buck stops here." So it's like I think that the head of household, there has to be someone in the relationship that says, okay, if we can't make a decision, I'm the one making the decision. If we are in analysis paralysis and we can't decide what to do next, we got to know who the person is. And it's not always the male in relationships. I mean, we work with a lot of families, a lot of households, like over 200 plus households. And there are a lot, I have some of my staff members, like it says the wife is the head of household. I'm like, she is.
I love that. I love that.
And when we got to make a decision or something has to be done, I know who I need to call. My staff knows who they need to call to get something done, be it financial, be it whatever it may be. That's that person that takes that ownership of saying, this is the direction that our relationship, or not our relationship, but our family, this is where we are going. This is where we want to go. Yes, I need your feedback. I want your feedback. I value your feedback. This is where I want to take us next.
I love that. I love what you guys are representing, because here on this brand, on these shows, I don't want to just portray one linear way. And I want to read this statement from a viewer because it was really funny. But it's true. It says, it's amazing to me that so many couples are so comfortable falling into these conservative traditional ideals, but their relationships are modern as hell. Like being traditional is all about men being the head, in all caps, of the household, but capital B-U-T, underline and bolded. You don't want to be traditional when it comes to paying them bills, because you need, capitalize N-E-E-D, these women to help you, capital Y-O-U, with these bills. That ain't traditional. So what is it? And I thought that was really good, because the truth is, and I think each of you touched on that, so that kind of sums that point up, and that is, head means different things. We heard spiritual, we heard just out of an honor and a title. But at the end of the day, the decisions, and I love what you said, Yo, because the truth is, like Erica touched on, different partners have different strengths. So if you are an indecisive person, or maybe for the creatives out there that might not be good with structure, we're not going to always, not like that, but they don't always make the best decisions. And I love when people can humble themselves, men, women, to say, oh, my partner's better with this, or I'll let, and still consult. So I love that, because communication is everything. So challenges, let's get into that, because we talked about yin and yang concept. And I brought that up because my husband and I are very yin and yang. So the question and the topic is, how do you approach establishing two becoming one and building harmony in your marriage? And I use this a lot in our disputes, because I'm like, hey, we want to be oil and vinegar. We don't want to be oil and water. That's what we want to be, because we know oil and water, no matter how much you shake it up, slice it and dice it, they end up separating, So how within, this is a good question that came from a viewer, and I know they're here because I saw you in the chat. With your own unique individuality as a person, everybody think about who you are, how you rolled as an individual. How do you reconcile gelling well enough with your spouse on a consistent basis? So how do you do that? Because I know I can testify about it being a struggle.
Yeah, so I'd love to speak on that. I know for Johans and I, it's really been just being in alignment with our values. So constantly having conversations about what we value. So if there is a conflict that comes up, we can really redirect to those values, and making sure we're both showing up in alignment to those values. Because I think that's really been what's helped us build a solid foundation. And our values have evolved over time, but just constantly having those conversations about, okay, really, what do we value, and what is our goal, our end goal together collectively, so that we can align those values with our goals and take action there. And constantly investing in personal development, a life coach, relationship coach. We have worked with Rhea. She's amazing.
Oh,
To really help us stay on the same page. And it's something that over time has really given us the tools that we need over time to work through anything that may come up for us.
Life coaches, plural. We've had several. Therapists, several. Business workshops together. What else? We do vision boarding. I got dragged into vision boarding.
Dragged.
I did. The first time I was dragged. I was dragged.
That's right. You were dragged. I'm just kidding.
Or drugged. One or the other. Drugged and dragged into vision boarding. And it turned out to be one of the best things I ever did. And to this day, I like sharing that we did a vision board together 5 years ago, and we put an image of a house on our vision board. And we went a couple years later, vision boards later, and we're moving into this house, and we pull out the old vision board, and the exact layout, it was a sketch. We had a blueprint of a home that we went and visited, but our home that we're in right now looked the same as the vision board that we did 2 years earlier.
Wow.
And it was eerie. I mean, the window placement, the trees, the shrubs, everything was like, whoa, this is our house. And so it was things like that that got me to believe in it. The Range Rover was on the vision board too.
It's coming.
It was on. See, actually, look, it was on the vision board, so you should have been surprised. But I think because of the upfront work that we do, it helps when we go to conflict, as Alicia was saying, because we have something to fall back on. So
building a foundation.
Wait, how is this conflict lining up with what we already said that we wanted? And let's go back to what we want and what we said we want. And if that's changed, it's okay, but let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So I guess the last piece of that is just the communication, just making sure that we can create that space. Because every guy, those words that you don't want to see the text, we need to talk. It's like, here we go. Not every guy. I'm sorry. I'm generalizing. Rhea said,
I don't generalize, but you can be yourself. That's fine. But I do text and we need to talk. So
yourself.
Most people, when they see that we need to talk, it's like, you take a breath first. Like, see, they're not in the head. See, yes, it happens.
Yeah, it's true.
But knowing that knowing that space exists. Yes, thank you. I needed a cosign. But knowing that space exists, and that when it comes, it's okay, because it's not going to be anything that's like too far out of left field. It's like, no, we played this part before. We know this. Okay, let's stick to what we know.
Well, the audience wants to know specifics. So I have I want to hear real quick from the other two couples, and then I want to ask specifics because we got two back to back. We saw what are some issues or challenges, big or small, that any of the couples have faced during marriage in this pandemic. And then the other one was, what do Rhea, in all caps, Ivy Bear, what do they fight about? And who is the one who tends to be the one to make up with the other? Great questions. So I wanted to, let's go back because I'm going to keep us on track with your own, being an individual and having your unique individuality. I heard life coaching, I heard therapy, I heard doing things jointly together to build more harmony. So how do you reconcile that on a consistent level? And then we'll dive into the challenges. So let's talk about, for those who are very different. Come on, Megan and Mo, let's hear.
So I have no problem calling Mo and saying, I have a problem. I have no problem coming home and stopping whatever we're doing and saying, I got an issue. I have no problem confronting my husband, or not even confronting, just having a hard or tough conversation. So Mo, I don't want to speak for you, but Mo sometimes isn't like, I can come off strong. So just like, Alicia and Yo said, I'm all about communication. So if there's a problem, I like to fix it. I like to be done with it. And if it can't be fixed right away, let's work towards it. But at least we talked about it. At least we're working on it. And I too have seen therapists, and we haven't seen a life coach yet, but that's fine too. But for me, I'm all about communication. If there's a problem, let's just fix it and talk about it.
We just been like that since the beginning. I mean, at the beginning, if there was something on my mind, immediately I'd be like, hey, like, what's good? I wouldn't hold my tongue, never have, and neither
And I told him I like that.
You know,
if there's a problem, just tell me.
I mean, straight up, like you can't do that, and you can't dance around and tiptoe around stuff. That's just not healthy.
And also,
so what are some of the things, if you don't mind? What are some of the things that you fight about? I'm sorry to cut you off because I want to give the people what they want. So everybody who answers this question, what are some of the things that you guys would fight about, especially during the pandemic?
The calendar.
The calendar. The calendar.
The calendar.
I mean, I'm calendar.
Mo forgets to put stuff on there. I just like things to go smooth. Like with my job, I have to manage my boss's schedule.
Yeah, I'm just not a calendar person. Like, but I've adjusted.
Yeah.
You know, you have to come up with a split.
Yeah. So we don't really fight about.
We don't fight about much.
We don't. It's little stuff, because even if it was something or were something to fight about, we talk about it.
Yeah, it's nothing really to fight about.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody fight here on this?
Here? Oh, no, we fight. We argue.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, babe, we might have to chime in and get the people what they want.
The hills.
I got some fights for you.
That's so funny. I mean, I don't know. I think conflict is healthy, but I was gonna say, I think one of the things that we struggled with the gelling and just bringing our individual, our differences together was just the way our perception of money and our spending habits. And so we both have similar upbringings and experiences, but whereas that experience made me more conservative and like, I want to hold on to every penny and, make sure all my bases are covered. And then, it kind of had the adverse effect for him in the beginning where it was like, shots on me, everybody, like, and I'd be like, wait, that's not in the budget. Like, let's talk about that. And so I remember a very specific example. I think this might've been in our first year of marriage, but so I'm so conservative that like, I would almost be very rigid in the beginning. I was really rigid. And so I would spend money as long as the bills were covered. It didn't really matter to me if we budgeted for like fun or spontaneity. It'd be like, okay, this is for the bills, and then this goes in the savings, and then that's it. Whereas he would be like, nah, we need to have some like room to have experiences and do things or whatever. And so I remember one time, I think it was like a parking ticket or something in our first marriage, in the first year of our marriage. And the way we argued about that parking ticket, because I think I paid the parking ticket or something, but then like he was like, nah, just like you wanted to like pay it later. He's like, nah, just pay it later.
I was irresponsible. I'm irresponsible all the way. Erica's the responsible, organized one. She keeps the house in order. I'm the creative.
He's like the hippie. I don't know if you guys.
I ain't know. Hold on.
No. I'm saying in financial peace terms.
Okay.
You're the free spirit, and I was like,
I get out here and get it. I ain't no hippie. But I'm just saying, for that parking ticket, you know how you see it, and they send you the notice. You like, I pay it. I got it. You got it in the bank. You just, I pay it. You put it to the side. You doing something else.
You better pay it in 21 days, though.
Man, that ticket came back triple.
That thing doubled.
Erica flipped. What? All you had to do was pay this right now. And I'm like, I couldn't say that. It was just, I was irresponsible.
And for me, that is like throwing money in the trash.
Yeah.
Like, you literally just have to pay it on time. Like, I have the grace for the parking ticket because, mistakes happen. Like, your meter runs out, you in a good conversation, you might get a ticket. But to let that thing double and triple, I don't have grace for that.
Yeah.
And that was like, so just the way we see money, I think in the beginning.
And that's before we had tools and learned how to communicate towards each other.
We did financial peace.
And
like, I think shortly after that. And then we've done, like counseling with our mentors and stuff, which was really helpful because it helped us. It kind of gave us the tools to communicate better and also position ourselves in a different way, because before it was very adversarial, like my way against your way, or, whatever. And I think doing that counseling with our mentors kind of allowed us to be like, okay, it's not me and you against each other. It's like us against the problem, So even the way we sit when we're having tough conversations or
Yeah, we
emotional dialogue.
we face to face.
Or we'll sit on the same side rather than like
try to
face
be at each other.
Yeah,
that's very progressive.
Changing our posture to create a safe environment for communication.
Okay, so, I love that. Y'all been in therapy because that's some show tools. So what other challenges have been
also
faced?
To piggyback off the other couples, they said some important things: tools, accountability.
Yeah,
you need that in a marriage. You need that. There's no we could do it by ourselves. We on an island. You need that. You need that.
Yeah. Have there been any other particular challenges for you guys that have come up during COVID? Any challenges, any fights? We heard money. I know that's a big one. Sex, money, communication, the calendar. We heard all of it.
So we just finished the house, and Megan's idea was, let's figure it out. Let's really plan it out. And it caused a huge problem because I'm thinking,
he rushed into it. We chose the wrong contractor. We wasted money. That's what happened.
Yeah, real way.
So right now, I forgot you asked about COVID. Now during COVID, it was a SHIT show. So I mean,
because of that,
I was working from home,
y'all.
I'm doing the house stuff. I got this guy that's taking our money.
Yeah.
I'm
working from home.
The contractors board got him though.
I'm working from home. The baby's home with us. We have a 3-year-old. I'm on these Zoom calls and I'm muted because she's in my ear. She's just right here and just yelling. And it's just, it really makes us moms just that much tougher because that was a tough year last year.
Yeah. It's tough. So the Zoom can that causes arguments. Any other ones? Because there's another question, and I love that you guys. Thank you in the chat. Trust me when I say I'm going to ask them. I want to do what's live and what's fresh. So I'm listening. Any other COVID challenges? Things that you guys had to overcome? Specific challenges where maybe you both had super opposing mindsets or views. One person, the head of the household, I'm just kidding. One person wanted to do one thing, the other person wanted to do the other thing, but you had to make a decision. Any of those examples for our folks? And
so I just we got the effort.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Just if we go back to the fact that we've been married for 10 years, early in our marriage, we were not great at communication
At all.
We weren't. And we actually came up with this phrase that was just like I said it while everyone was talking and she made an ugly face. So the viewers probably saw it. We had this phrase that I coined called, "You want to talk about talking?" Because I felt she would come to me and say, "We need to talk." And the first 20 minutes of our conversation would be about the fact that we don't talk. So instead of us talking about talking, can we actually talk about the issue? And I didn't go about it the right way early on.
No.
So it's still a sore spot when I say, "Oh, let's talk about talking." And it's like,
how'd you go about it? What was the mistake?
No, that was a mistake. Is that
he mocked the fact
to
address, but didn't necessarily know how to address it. And I was just like, we need to talk.
But I just want her to just
that we hadn't talked about it.
So the problem was we hadn't talked about the problem. So we spent more time talking about the fact that we're not talking than we did talking about what the problem is. And so I was just like, just tell me the problem. It's one of those, I'm a hammer, where's the nail? So just tell me where the nail is. But she wanted to talk about the wood and Home Depot and screws. And I'm like, just tell me where the nail is. But I had to learn. I had to get through that. So, but I will say with COVID, and this is something we're still working with, the biggest struggle we've had in COVID is dating. Because we ain't been nowhere. And we have a mother-in-law and a 3-year-old, they'll soon be 4. And we added a puppy to the mix. I mean, we can't even walk around the house naked. And we have a business, So we value some spontaneity, and spontaneity just got snatched
Swept
away
away.
from us. So that's something we have had to work through in COVID. Working through.
It's a work in progress.
And it wasn't. I mean, we've been in COVID for over a year, but it wasn't until like I think a month ago where we actually put date night back in the calendar. It's like, okay, so let's do something. I mean, even if we're just going to actually stay awake and watch it, let's stay awake and watch a movie instead of pass out watching a movie.
You're aging us.
So
yeah, because that sleep demon get people in trouble. That thing be coming to get me, and my husband be ready to shoot. If you doze off, I'm like, man, I'm tired. Zoom fatigue, Jesus. I'm so glad that you guys touched on that, because I know that there was another question that subsequently came in. So we talked about what you fight about. We heard the house, we heard communication, date night. That's a big one, yo, because I think once that love and feeling eases away, seasons of marriage look different. It is important to remember to connect and actually date and put that intention in. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money. But I saw another one come through in the chat. Think Big says, how good are you both at apologizing and practicing forgiveness without checking out mentally for long periods of time and letting old things go? That is excellent. Come on, audience. You guys are making this show so great. So how good are you guys? Then we can just say, do we have some grudge holders? They like to use in therapy the teapot person, person that just can get over stuff quick, or the one that likes to brew and stew like yours true. Just kidding.
We're great at that now. Before, I was shut down a lot. I wasn't expressive emotionally. So if she say something, it pissed me off. I only knew my response was 0 to 100. I didn't know no in between. I literally didn't know how to express emotionally. When you're a man, in some cases, not all men, we're not taught that. It's get up, don't cry, brush it off, keep pushing. So as you get older, you just internalize. But when you get married, and like the couples that said earlier, you're looking in the mirror. So now you gotta deal with yourself. So yeah, Erica would say something, I'll be hot. We chilling, whatever. She say something else, I go off on her about a 2-month-old problem. And it or vice versa. That would occur vice versa. And we sitting there looking at each other like, wait, what happened? What's going on? Now it's confusion. You're mad at each other still. Ain't no resolve.
Yeah.
But now how we resolve it is we actually Erica's done, and I mentioned this before, but Erica's done well at, she's gentle. She's very gentle. So she comes to, hey, what's going on? Let's talk, and I know how to, okay, this is a safe place. She's created a safe place for me where I'm like, okay, I know how to express. I don't have to go off the deep end, talk crazy. This is what bothered me. I didn't like this, A, B, and C. And okay, what is it that I did, or did you not, or what? She'll ask me questions. She's very good at asking questions. And then we get to the root of it. Vice versa. She'll have an issue. Hey, love, I noticed, you was real, she was flashy. I came at her, tried to give her a hug. Not right now. Just
I just got home.
You trying to show some love to your wife, she get at you. I'm gonna go sit down. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna give you your I'm gonna give you your emotional real estate. That's okay for that time being. She need that. Cool. I'm gonna come back later, and I'm gonna ask her. Okay, what's going on? Then she'll tell me about her day. We'll get down to the root of the issue, A, B, and C. But it's just creating. I think we've worked on creating a safe place for one another to relieve ourselves emotionally, not looking. And that's what I had to learn as a man. Not looking to solve the problem, but creating intimacy by just hearing her and creating value in what she's saying. So I'm just listening to you. I'm repeating back to you what you're saying, so that I know that, so that you know that you're heard, and then we'll move to the next steps there. Now, if you want me to solve it or create an issue, not create an issue, but want me to solve the issue or fix the problem, you can communicate that to me.
Yeah, I'll ask.
Unless I feel that my household was violated in any way, then I'm gonna react as such. So I'll take it from there. But other than that, hey, babe, it's cool. Just But you know,
Yeah, I
Well,
think
I have to bring up something really quickly, sis. And if you want to finish your point, so I don't want you to lose it because I want to tie in something that
I
Trey just
got
said.
it. Holding on
Well,
to it.
I'm looking. I want to get to. I have two things going on because the safe place is so huge, and I think we mention it, but no one often talks about how you get there. So you mentioned I've heard popping off, I've heard talking reckless, a few couple. I've heard those things kind of thrown out loosely, but when that happens, it's not it don't land. And I used to be one of those people, so this is a confessional moment. I always believed you have control over what comes out of your mouth, and so when you're in a partnership and someone has maybe crossed the violation for, some people don't do scream that too well. It's like you don't just get ground, you can't just snap out of it. It really scars people. It might harden, it might, damage or rupture what that safe place feels like. So how do you get to the safe place? Like for the couples that can't seem to find the resolve, maybe they have a hothead partner, maybe somebody has said some disrespectful things in those flashes, like how do you then come back to center to forgive, like the viewer asked, so that the safe place can be created? Because some people live in that space and expect people to just go back to zero and shake it off and be, oh, you were just mad. And then meanwhile, you could be like, oh, you said some stuff.
I didn't do it by myself. I did go to therapy. I did read books. I have accountability. Older, just wise people that I can say, hey, how do I approach? You know what I'm saying? I don't run from the conversation. When she comes to me, I engage to say, like Megan and Mo, they blessed. They had that from the rip. This is the issue. We didn't have that. So now that we've developed that's how I got there. It's using the tools and the resources.
I'll say this. I think in the beginning, I said the first 3 or 4 years, or maybe 3 years, I don't think I was a safe place for Trey. So I understand why he would shut down or just suppress or be like, you know what, this is not going to go nowhere, so why even bother? Because I think for me, when he would express an emotion that was less than, because I'm very hypercritical of myself. So when he would express an emotion or something that felt like criticism, I automatically attached like my feelings to it or made it like about me. And so one of the things that I learned just in how to be a safe space was like, no matter what he's saying or what he's expressing, to detach myself from it, because this is about him and his perception and his experience of me or his experience of that situation. And my role at this point is just to get understanding so he feels heard. And then, I can address, okay, well, I heard you say da-da-da. It's interesting because when I said this is actually what I meant, but in the moment that he's expressed, because I feel like a lot of times it's like, one party might say something, but then if the other person has such a reaction or their feelings are hurt, then it becomes about you. And then, then it's just a lost cause. So one of the things that helped us kind of transition from that place of like him shutting down, me just kind of emotionally running the relationship, was for me to like kind of put myself on pause and say, okay, he has the floor. Let me separate myself from what he's trying to, express at the moment.
That's great. That's great, love. Yeah, I think also just to answer the resolve question, because I know the person wants to know what the resolve. It's not I would say for me, it's not an agree or disagree. It's getting understanding. And once you have the understanding, then you know how to move forward. It's not a matter of I can't agree or disagree with how she may be feeling. Yeah. But it's my job to understand how she's feeling or why. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because every conversation doesn't end in resolve, and I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Like we don't solve every issue in one conversation or one dinner or whatever. It's just an ongoing, evolving conversation, so.
Yeah, I think the key to remember, because you guys are touched. I don't know if you could see the chat, and I do see. I think that question was asked a while ago. Does every argument have to end in resolve? And that's absolutely true. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions. Resolve does not mean agree. It doesn't mean unity in terms of opinion. It just means that you can agree to still have harmony, but it doesn't mean you have to say, yes, I think this way, you think the same way. And that's where the magic comes in. So I'm glad you guys touched on that. Are there any other couples that might struggle with that whole communicating safe place thing? Because I want to make sure we give the people what they asked, and forgiveness? How have you guys worked through those humps and hiccups?
Well, I think what came up for me when Erica was sharing is just knowing that if there is a disagreement, it's not always about me. I guess kind of not taking things personally and just really addressing whatever the issue is, or the miscommunication or misunderstanding, and not being in my feelings about it, or not attaching whatever insecurity I may have about it, or expecting him to show up to make me happier or to do certain things if I'm not doing them for myself. Do that work on myself and just I guess increase my self-love and my self-confidence so that I can show up to my marriage being that woman, and not expect him to pour into me in that way if I'm not pouring into myself. So that's been huge for me. And then to be able to communicate, to get to a space where I can communicate, hey, this is an issue, because unlike Megan and Mo, we haven't had that direct communication our entire marriage. So I've had to really build my voice in that and be able to come to him confidently and just say, hey, this is an issue, and not attacking him, but just wanting to address it or share, and being okay with whatever his response is, and not not making it about me, or you're not thinking about me, but just being okay with sharing in that space.
Oh my God.
I also had to learn her signs, her telltale signs of there's something she needs to talk about. So like Trey was saying, you go to give her the hug and she gives you the elbow. It's like, I'm just giving you a hug. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And knowing that I have to make sure I'm in the right space to receive it, because she's probably going to tell me something that I did. So sometimes I might have to say, okay, I see that there's something there. I can see all the signs are there. I can tell by the cut eye. I can tell because no one made me a plate. Okay, so let me make sure I'm in a place to listen. As Trey was saying, be ready to listen and to empathize, and just let her say it, let her talk, and then ask the question. Okay, well, tell me what you expect from me. And we've had this conversation before. I'm like, okay, so what do you need my role to be in this? Sometimes she just said, actually, I don't need you to do anything. I just needed to just share with you what I was going through when this happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I do have one more thing, Rhea.
Please.
Okay, so yes, I'm a great communicator, but I do hold grudges, and I can be more forgiving and not hold on to them longer. So Mo is a very we'll both say I'm sorry, but if you hurt my feelings or it just didn't make sense to me, I can hold on to it. I can. And we're going to proceed. We're parents. We're married. We're going to take the baby to daycare. We're going to go to work. We're going to talk about whatever, but I can hold on to a grudge. So I'm starting to stop doing that. And also it was about, hearing his feelings. Sometimes if I don't receive it the way that I should, and instead get my feelings attached, I have to learn to not be so with Mo. That is one thing that I do. So I think we all touched on that.
I do too.
Yeah, and I'm working on that, and I don't want to talk to him like that. I don't want to, not hear him out, even though I hear him out, but then I have a grudge. So I'm working on hearing him out. Yeah, what he's saying, I might not agree with, and it might be out of left field, because Mo can do that sometimes, but I need to just take my feelings out of it and just really just listen to him. We'll resolve it and we'll just move on and then work it out the next day.
Let me tell you why I appreciate what's happening right now. And I saw someone left a comment. I love the people, you guys are still with us, because I'm so mindful of your time, but I heard, I love how transparent everyone is. So what I just heard, to summarize what everyone said and to also confess myself, that in terms of creating that safe space, I heard two different dynamics. So we talked about, the tone, we talked about delivery. I heard you guys saying I have to hold back my temptation to, if my spouse is expressing themselves, I have to check my energy to say, okay, let me receive, let me listen, let it not be about me. Let me make sure, that's work. That's the work that we do. But on the flip side, I'll just say, it takes work on both sides, because if you come and I have to just do this plug, Trey, because you mentioned men and their emotions. And my May episode is Black men and their emotions. And I just want to say this because I know that it could be a possibility in the dynamic. If you have the weight of the world on your shoulders, if you have the brunt of, the things that Black women or Black men might face, if you have something stewing from that argument that was 2 months ago, years ago, then your spouse can say something as simple as, hey, did you do X, Y, and Z? And it could cause you, the person, to erupt because you've got stuff, sugar, like Megan said, sugar, honey, iced tea. You have stuff that's like brewing, that's right at the edge. So sometimes it doesn't take much for a person to. So I think it takes work on both sides. And I'm just grateful that you guys shared. And I'm so happy, that with what you're sharing, it sounds like there's work that's consistently happening. Because I want to also, trigger words, knowing Yo mentioned, I'm in tune with my wife enough to know, hey, the pattern is disrupted. She's not doing the way she normally does. Or I tried to hug and we watching this movie and she on the other side. You have to be in tune with your partner, but I love that you guys brought up, for me, I heard both sides of the coin, because I think the consistent thing is that you guys are all working on your own emotions. You're working on, what's on the inside, because I think that controls what's on the outside. And I want to read this statement because I want to hear from you guys before we go into the segment. I'm going to see if we missed any questions, but this is what a viewer said. My experience and observation of other people, as well as my own marriage, this person has been married for a lot of years. I want to say maybe 17 years. Is that there has to be sacrifices and compromises made by both parties in the marriage or partnership continually. Over the years, trust and loyalty should increase, and it should never be broken, because if it is broken, this requires even more work to build back up. This alone breaks up many partnerships that can sometimes come back because both parties are willing to do the work. Not only the person who broke the trust. A true partnership is built and doesn't happen overnight. It is earned by both who invest and continuously invest to keep it alive and thriving successfully. And this is why I love to do these shows, because here's what I want. When everybody hangs up and logs off, whether you're married or not, whether you are in a partnership or not, I mean, all of these things that we talk about, I want people to be able to look in. So that statement involved the breaking of trust. It involved continual compromise. So I want, if anybody feels led to, give feedback on that, I just thought it was really dope. And I'm like, I'm going to read that, because there might be people watching right now who might have had broken trust or might have had struggles building that partnership, because not everybody views it the same. So I would love to hear if anybody has any insight on, like, how do you strengthen if that happens? Anybody?
Yeah, so we're off mute, but I'm trying to formulate.
That was deep. That was a deep one, right?
Exactly.
Continual.
So as Yo shared, and as we shared of how we identify our marriage as being resilient, early on in our marriage, we were faced with a lot of challenges, crisis. We had a lot of loss in our individual families. We were raising a young teenage boy who was just experienced divorce, separation, things like that. So we had a lot kind of brewing in our marriage, and was still very young. And we both broke the trust in our marriage. And it was probably one of the most, challenging experiences or years of my adult life, getting through that. And probably one of the darkest. And we really had to find our way out of this dark hole, to say the least.
Yeah.
And that was only 2 years in our marriage. And we also dealt with a lot of judgment from close friends who kind of knew what was going on. But it's like, at the end of the day, we both knew that we wanted to grow forward. We didn't know how.
Yeah.
If, but we know that's what we wanted. And we had to do a lot of work. And that was 2 years in. And I really feel like we had to experience that as kind of a reality check.
How bad do you want this?
How bad do you want it? Because as Yo mentioned too, even coming into the marriage, I became a stepmother very early on, before Yo and I really got to develop our relationship, husband and wife, just kind of thrown right into it. And it wasn't a healthy exchange of co-parenting, things like that. So there was a lot of stress There's a lot of emotional disappointment. And we didn't really know, at one point, we didn't really know how to even turn to each other because we were both just in a, what was it? Sugar, honey, iced tea?
You can say shit. It's okay.
We were both in a very shitty place. And we didn't have the tools to even know how to turn to one another to say, hey, this is tough. Like, how to get through this? Or I'm drowning. I don't know how to see past this roadblock. And luckily we did. I don't even know how, I don't even know what the first steps were.
Therapy. And we fired a few therapists. It took a few to find one that could actually, we had a therapist that, the one that we finally kept, kicked us individually out of his office and basically said, you're paying me to be your therapist and you're not being honest with me. You're not being honest with each other. So when you are ready to at least be honest with me, then maybe we can have a conversation. And like, I'm talking about an hour session ended like 40 minutes early. It's like, oh, okay.
That's real.
And he told us this maybe a week apart. Our sessions were a week apart. And we both had the same experience in the session where he kind of just said, look, until you're ready to be honest with at least yourself, and then maybe each other. So I do want to share one of the best tools that he gave us, and we still use it to this day when it comes to trust and just trust in general, is that as humans, we like to come up with worst case scenarios. And when it comes to what may be happening with their partner or spouse, and there's been some distrust or dishonesty, and even if it's something as simple as a bank account, because we went through that too, that when the money goes missing out of the bank account, or the numbers aren't adding up right, without that communication, we're going to create what he referred to as a pothole. So, and he was talking about the LA streets. He's like, you go walk in the LA streets and you got I remember him explaining to me, I had Jordans on that day. He's like, you got your J's on. He's called them nice Nikes. He didn't say J's, but you got your nice Nikes.
We know what culture he was in. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're not going to step into that pothole. If you see a pothole and there's water, you're not going to step in it. And I said, no. I said, why not? I said, because it's a pothole. He's like, yeah, what could be in that pothole? And I was like, dog shit. I mean, anything could be in that pothole, dirt, mud, all that other stuff. And he said, that's what each of you will create in your minds when you don't have anything else to fill that hole with. You automatically think it's a pothole, and you'll go to the worst case scenario. Oh, there's money missing from the bank account. He was probably in Vegas.
Yeah.
When in actuality, no, I was actually behind on child support. I had to make that payment, and they're going to suspend my license. Oh, okay. Well, you could have just came to me and kind of had those conversations. So we had to learn that we will assume the worst when we don't have the information. So we just, that's where it all coming back to communication. We had to learn how to have the conversation so we can get rid of all the ugly gunk in the pothole and realize, oh, actually, it's clear water. There's nothing there. It's okay. It's not going to harm me. We can see how deep it is. That's the other thing about the pothole he mentioned that I left out. You don't know how deep it is. Yeah. That hole could go to your knee, or it could just be an inch, because it's all dark and muddy and you don't have any vision of what could be there. You go to worse conclusions. So it was a fight, it was a struggle. It was a journey, still is a journey. Yeah. But at this point, we're grateful that we had, as Trey was saying, the tools. Yeah. And we continued to keep seeking the tools. That's exactly why we showed up today. I have to admit, this is the most public we've ever been about that. Some of our friends know that have been chiming into the thread, but the most public conversation we've ever had about. Now it's going to live in infamy on the internet.
That's okay. But you know what? Let me tell you, there's freedom in truth. And that's exactly what Purpose Conversation is. So I'm just honored and grateful, one, that you trust me and the viewers that are watching. But at the end of the day, what I hope to accomplish is not to display people that are perfect, because it's these divorce rates that keep going up every day because people get behind these scenes and they don't have the tools nor patience. So they just exit stage left. And I don't think it all, I believe in divorce. I will say that I'm a Christian woman that believes in divorce, but I also know that some investments are worth building and keeping. And so I'm just honored and grateful that you guys are displaying what it means to build back up, because it's possible. So thank you. Please share, guys.
So when Mo and I first met, he was single for a while, and I had broken up with someone, and I had cut off my hair. I fully had a moment. I just cut it all off. I was doing the short. I mean, it was wonderful. And I met Mo. And so when we got together, we both had been hurt so bad that we said, let's just commit to each other and let's just do our best to always be open and honest and not have that hurt come back again. So that was a really, really tough conversation we had in the beginning. And it's been great. I mean, we have our ups and downs, and I wrote notes, and my note is you have to choose your marriage daily. You really do.
Yeah.
Some days will be so bad where you're like,
I could do better without this.
Yeah, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. But you have to remember who you married, remember all the great times, because there will be so many bad times that just like, I don't have time for this. But you have to choose your marriage. You have to work on your marriage, and things happen. So that's it. But for Mo and I, we just really came from two really, really wounded doves. And when we got together, we were like, okay, let's just make it work.
Love on each other and build each other back up. I love that. I love that. Thank you, guys. I appreciate this honesty and this transparency, because we're going to get to the rest of the viewer questions and let y'all go, because, you know, I could be here all night. So I'm really trying to let me get to this chat. Did I miss anything? We got a lot of thank you guys so much. Trust. It's real. I salute the dedication. Did you guys do individual sessions outside of couples therapy? Just raise your hand if it's a yes. Come on. I love it. Okay. So, oh, wow. We got a lot of individual therapy.
What was it again?
Did you do individual outside of couples therapy? So that's an excellent question, because not all issues are couples issues. Some issues came.
Individual. We haven't done couples therapy.
No couple.
Okay. Individual. Have you
open to it?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I love that question. First of all, I'm so grateful that you guys have. I am a therapy and coaching advocate, clearly. But the truth is, I love that therapist, I meant to say that earlier, did that, because I think too many people go to one therapist and they think, oh God, it was a bad experience, I'm cutting it. I used to tell my clients when I was a therapist, like, every therapist is not for everybody. Every coach is not for everybody. Every style is not for everybody. So don't get discouraged if it might take you a few people till you get a rhythm, because that doesn't mean that it's not for you. That just means that particular style is not for you. So I want to encourage anybody that, people come into a marriage with baggage. So it's not for your spouse to have to be the one to clear the baggage out. And I think that's another misconception, is people put so much weight. Alicia did an excellent job of talking about that. It's not your husband's job to manage your emotions. Or I think Erica also mentioned, hey, I didn't give Trey a safe space for the first few years. So I just love that you guys are being honest about that, because that's the misconception that people get behind them scenes, or they post these pictures on Instagram about their WCWs and MCMs. Then you get in a big fight on Tuesday, and by the next Monday, baby, them things is deleted. So I'm like, well, wait a minute. We got to find some foundation here so you can continue with that MCM. So I love that. So guys, we have some questions. Did I miss any? Okay, let me get to the last section, and then we're going to wrap up. So I'm going to rapid fire these questions and see who feels led to answer. I think I know who will answer this first one. Some people feel that you should never mix business with love. What are your thoughts on doing business with your partner? Clearly, there's a couple that can answer that.
Can't get off you fast enough. I want to say some of the wealthiest families on the planet did it together. Okay? That is, I feel that is a phrase that is out there to break you down and make you think it's impossible. Go build your empire. That's what I did. We decided, and we went to business together. We are building an empire. We are building generational wealth. We are creating our legacy. Something on years and years and years beyond us. and employing friends, family, children.
But it took us some time to get to
It
that
did.
point.
It did.
Chime in, Alicia. Come on, COO.
I mean, I'm just saying, we weren't always, when
No.
we were dating and even the beginning of our marriage, I never imagined us working together. And I think I even said out loud,
Never.
we could never work together.
I said that.
Yeah, but over time, as we evolved in our relationship, evolved our communication, better identified our values, what we want, as we started family planning, we realized, we want to be able to build something together. I wanted to be able to be present at home. And we just learned very quickly how well we do work together with our strengths and how we can really build something big. So it's been a blessing.
And to end with Jay and Bay, what's better than one billionaire?
Then two. Come on. All right. I love it. All right. Well, this is excellent. Let's how about this question, guys? Jay and Bay, Yo and Alicia, how do you value what matters to your partner if you have not one bit of interest in it?
Well, I'll talk about something, and Rhea, I know you can relate when it comes to sports.
Woo!
Football.
Sorry.
Like, I know football season, Sunday.
Yeah, the draft was tonight. I knew that.
Don't make any plans. And it took me a minute to really find my place in that. And I think just over time, I just really found the perks of, okay, this gets to be my day. He has his day watching football. I just started making my own plans. And, there's times where I'll curl up on the couch with him and that I know that he enjoys that deposit, even though I have no interest in what's on the screen. But for the most part, it's just really giving him that space to be able to, and not nagging him when you're, in front of, and it took me a minute to get there.
Yeah.
But once I got there, just finding more value in, okay, well, he's doing his thing. Let me find what I'm going to do in this time.
So I love what you said, and I want to know if anybody else struggles with that, and then I'll move to the next question. But I think what you said was key because I heard you mention, I know how much he values it, so I'm going to do my thing and not criticize him if he wants to be in front of that TV for 12, 13 hours. Oh, sorry. Wait, I'm confessing.
It's only 9 hours. There's a 2.5-hour break.
If he wants to watch every game known to man, even Little League, I'm just going to let him just watch soccer, women's baseball, any kind of sport, golf. Sorry. But I also heard you say that you sometimes cuddle up on that couch and you watch even if you have no interest. So I heard that there was like a give and a take. Like, hey, if my spouse is going to be doing this and I want to be with him in a physical space, I'll just sacrifice and do it. So I love that you said you create your own vibe and do your own thing and you sacrifice. So I think that's
take
awesome.
one for the team.
Yeah.
Period. I don't like Grey's Anatomy. But,
Okay. Well, I've watched like all of Law and Order. Like I think it started in '88. So I binge watch. Like seriously. Okay. I watch anything that's a doctor, Law and Order, whatever. But to answer your question, things that I have no interest in and he loves, I listen. I really try, and I just try to really not give my opinion and just say, "Go, Mo." Yes, I love it. And then he has hobbies. So now he used to be in the music industry. So he's got like a piano set up and the beat machine and all that. So I'm like, all right, go ahead, do your thing. And that's how we have our little time if we need it. I'll go back there and I'll rock out with him. But
I love it. You're like, okay, babe, this beat is popping. I love it. Hills, what about you? Because I love this question. I think some people out there might struggle if their spouse, like you're just not into it. You can't relate. You don't want to sit down and watch TV or whatever your spouse is or partners, because it's not all about marriage. But how do you value what's important if you have no interest in it?
Like Mo said, you take interest, but doesn't mean I have a passion for it. Me taking interest doesn't mean I'm about to sit there. But that one moment, like Erica loves hiking. I don't want to walk to a view. We can drive up to see overlook something. You know what I'm saying? That's not me. However, I put on the boots, the Yogi Bear boots, and do what I gotta do and get her up the hill. But in that time, it's dope when you take interest and what your spouse is interested in, because it does create connection. It creates in that moment where y'all like, oh, okay, I can see why you like it. That ain't gonna be my go-to, but I can see why you like it. I see why you enjoy it. And I enjoy making you happy.
Yeah.
So, it ain't that's why I said earlier, her interest is my interest. So regardless of like we sit every week and we watch Married at First Sight.
Oh, I love it.
At first, I was like, "Hey, what is you in here?" She be in it. You would think she watching a boxing match. I'm like, "What is you in here watching, bro? I can't believe and all this." And I go in there and I'm like, "Man, this is reality nonsense." I sat down with her. We started eating dinner, watching it together.
And now he was like, "See,"
and but me and her be having some of the best conversations afterwards.
Yeah, we're able to work through our
because we be like, hold on, fam was wilding. All right, let's talk. We need to talk. Make sure, if you want to stay on, if you want to in your house, if you want to stay on the other side of the wall, you're missing out on a lot of things. You can get a lot from taking interest in what your spouse is interested in. Doesn't mean you have to have a passion.
I'll also say though, there are some things that he is passionate about or interested in that I'm just not joining in on. Like he is a hardcore gamer. He likes anime. I'm not watching anime. And I'm not playing video. But I make room for him to enjoy those things. So I show him that I value his interests, but I don't necessarily I'm not sitting on the sticks with you, but I might, be like, oh, what are you playing? Or what's the object of this game? Or, or what is this show about or whatever? I make room for him without, like they were saying earlier, that judgment or criticism, but I'm not sitting down necessarily and partaking.
But I showed her anime.
That's when we were dating. That was bomb.
And she was like, wow, hold on, let me watch, you know what I'm saying?
That was like 8 years ago, but
compromise. What I heard, I'm gonna just reiterate before we close, because I know I'm so excited. This went so awesome. Is that even if you don't have to take it on, I heard Trey said just the simple openness. Like, hey, I'm gonna just be open. I heard Mo say, I don't like Grey's Anatomy. Like I heard each couple talk about. Alicia said, hey, I could care. Now you really a woman after my heart. I could care less what I see on this screen, but I'm gonna be like, dang that. Like, of course, like you grow because you're like, dang, if my partner is on 10 about this, maybe there's something in it. So I just love that you guys exhibited. It doesn't mean that they have, like now Trey is about to go hard with Married at First Sight. This next season comes out, but it does mean that, you love your partner. You're going to just, my babe, he did say he watched Black Love with me. Yes, you did, babe. You gave up after a couple seasons, but that's okay. The new one comes on in a couple weeks. But I'm just so excited that you guys shared that. So couples, I want you to think about, and I want the audience, if we have any last questions, so I can let you guys go, what would you want to leave the audience with regarding building a stronger partnership in their relationship, whether it's married, whether it's not? Because I know there's a lot of people that are watching that are not married or that will watch that are trying to get married. So what do you want to leave them with? We talked about trust. We talked about interest. We talked about compromise, rebuilding, building a strong foundation, having a safe place. We touched on so many different nuggets, and I just love and appreciate you guys for your openness and transparency. So audience, let me know if there are any last burning questions, and then I'm going to have each couple salute, and we going to log off to the next one. So let me know. You guys have any closing thoughts?
So going back to Yo and Alicia on date night, that was huge. And that was what we struggled with too. So I guess we would leave fans with have fun. And I know sometimes it's hard because we have a 3-year-old and it was very challenging at times. And to be fully transparent, I actually went through postpartum depression. So there were times where I didn't want to get dressed up. I didn't want to go on a date night. I just wanted to sit on the couch and just barely just breathe, But remember to have fun. And make it a priority. Like we got that calendar, so make sure we put a date night on there, But Mo is very good about making sure we stay invested and love each other because life happens. Marriage, you it's fun, and you get married, and you have kids, and you work, and then you got the LA traffic. So it's just like it's hard, but you have to make time, and it has to be fun.
Yeah,
I think that's important.
Oh, Oh, I'm so glad. Anybody else want to give some closing thoughts?
I think because at the first few years, I struggled so much with what I thought our marriage was supposed to look like. One of the things I would leave is just like, don't look to the left or the right. Like your journey is your own, you know? And so just because one couple might operate this way in their marriage, or their partnership looks like this, or their romance looks like this, doesn't necessarily mean that your marriage has to look like that. And so I think that was one of the things that set me free, was like, you know, just abandoning some of those norms or things that I saw around me, and just kind of appreciating what we have for what it is. So I would encourage other people, just don't be afraid to abandon, you know, whatever those ideas are, so you can fully embrace what you have.
I love that. I'm writing down what you guys are saying, because this chat lives forever. Thank you. This is so good. All right, Harrison's, let us know.
I love those shares and takeaways. I guess what I would want to share is what we've talked about already, is just really identifying values early on, just knowing and understanding each other's values. And if your values align, that's something that's really helped us build a strong foundation in our marriage and in our business. So that's key. And then I spoke on earlier about love languages, understanding how your partner receives love, because it might be totally different from how you're showing up to love them. And that could create some conflict. And it just, knowing the love languages just gives you another tool to really be able to lean into, and understanding how to show up for your partner.
Ooh, I have to write that down. Pay attention to your partner in all caps, because every partner is not like your last partner or the partner before that. You got a partner right now in this season. Amen. All right. Anybody else? Yo, Mo. Yo and Mo. Mo and Yo. Any final thoughts? You know what I'm saying? I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, just feed off each other's energy. Everybody can't have a great day every day, and understand that, and just communicate. Communicate like it was the first day you went on your first date. You know, communicate like it's
your 5-year goals.
Yeah. You know, you just gotta really communicate.
Yeah.
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 Be honest, communicate. Let me write that down. All right. All right. Yo, communicate. I love that.
Anything that is worth having is going to be worth some work. And that's it. So if you want it, you're gonna have to work for it. You may have fallen in love at first sight, or black love sight first, whatever the shows are y'all watching.
Married at First Sight.
That is 18 hours. It's been shrunk down to an hour. There's a lot of communication that you missed. So if it's worth having, it's gonna be worth some work. So just put in the work.
Yeah, put in the work. You guys, I love you. I appreciate you. Put in the work. I just put a little plug in the chat. Next month, May is going to be on Black men and their emotions. I can't wait to get my guys in here so we can talk about their emotions. And I just appreciate you guys showing up. So continue. If you are on my channel, please subscribe so you can get the notification when the next one comes out. I'll also be posting them on my website's being redone, but rhealism.com. I love you. And I thank you to each one of you panelists that came. This felt so honest, so real, so safe. So thank you. That's what my goal for every episode. And you guys have an awesome and amazing night. Love you.